on LA. I'm your host, Louise Gill. Today we are very honored that Lights on LA has the opportunity to interview Chief Michael Downing from Terrorism and Special Operations for the Los Angeles Police Department in downtown Los Angeles. Stay tuned for a very interesting interview. I would also like to stress how important this interview was and how honored I am that we had the opportunity to speak about the terrorist acts that have happened in Paris and what we're facing and what we could do to prevent things to happen in the U.S., especially in Los Angeles. I'm here at the Los Angeles headquarters of the Los Angeles Police Department with Chief Michael Downing. Thank you very much, sir, for having me here and inviting me and being able to take this opportunity to speak with me, especially at this time. But I thought it was very important for our community to know what is going on, to have heads up and also to be aware and also to see what we could do as citizens of the Los Angeles County and the United States of America to see what we could do and what is going on. So first, thank you.
Sure. It's always a pleasure, Louise. Good to see you.
Congratulations on almost 35 years working for the most, should I say, most wonderful agency possibly imagined as the Los Angeles Police Department, and I'm very honored to be here. So let's talk about the current issues. What's going on?
Well, I think Paris is a game changer. We've always planned for and expected some type of a Mumbai-style attack, but this was much more complex. And to see the level of sophistication, the multi-targets, the number of people involved, and for them not to be detected by the French government or the intelligence agencies brings us a lot of concern. And how did they do that? You know, Director Comey's talked a lot about going dark and the use of end-to-end encryption on the social media platforms. And essentially, that was a technique that we used to see what the chatter was. And now that it's dark and it looks like this group used that, it's a great concern, which, you know, we have to counter that strategy now and develop better ways to detect pre-operational planning. But with that said, I think the strength that we have in this community is that we have partners, and communities are our partners, and 10,000 LAPD cops can't do it alone, the FBI can't do it alone, but to leverage the resources we have and teach and educate communities on what they can do to participate so that they don't feel like they're victims, but they have confidence. And that's, I think, one of our strengths.
Now, do we have any threats as far as, I know that the U.S. has had, we've been on the news, does Los Angeles have any threats on?
We don't have any direct imminent threats. However, there are always aspirational threats. And you have to determine whether or not there's capability. There's certainly intent, but we do have people that we're concerned with, no doubt. And I think Los Angeles has always been a target, still a target, just as New York, Washington, D.C., the big cities of America are targets. And ISIS has expressed the desire to attack the West, to attack the United States, and we certainly want to stay on the prevention side of this equation through good intelligence, good analysis, good dissemination, good disruptions. However, if we do miss something, we also need to be prepared to respond tactically.
Now, as far as traveling, I know it's the worst time that this is happening. There's so many people that would like to go visit family and friends abroad. Is that something that you would recommend, or?
I'm not going to say yes or no. I would say proceed with caution. Check with the State Department, look at what their advisory and their warnings are. There's obviously more risk than there was last year, so I think everybody has to make their own personal decision on that.
As far as going back to terrorist threats, what is it that the department is doing right now as a precaution?
Well, we have a lot of things going on the prevention side of things. We have our outreach and engagement with communities. We have the generation of intelligence. We have the Joint Regional Intelligence Center that's working with 80 or so analysts on this. We have all kinds of investigations going on. We're following bad people. We work with the Joint Terrorism Task Force. We have a task force here right below my office. So we're working very hard to generate enough intelligence and analysis so that we can do proper interdictions and disruptions. We use our patrol forces to do critical infrastructure, high visibility patrols. We send people into communities that feel afraid, and maybe they feel like they're removed from society. We infuse that. We give people confidence. We do a lot of training. Tomorrow we're meeting with the security heads of 45,000 private security guards in LA. We're giving them a briefing. We're doing a lot of things to both prevent and also prepare our troops for response.
Now, I know that, like you said earlier, 10,000 officers as well as the FBI and other agencies. What is it that we, as American citizens, could do?
Well, I think we have to understand that the optic is not just the 2,200 miles between the West Coast and the East Coast of the United States, but if you turn that globe around and you look at the landmass on the other side of the world, you have about 9,000 miles from East Coast to West Coast. And what happens on that side of the world impacts us here immediately. So I think just to have an appreciation, change your optic a little bit and have an appreciation for what happens on the other side of the world and how it impacts us, how the world's changing, how the internet has changed, how cheap travel has changed, how diaspora communities still get their news from the other side of the world, and that we have to serve those communities and be responsive to the communities and help make them feel American, so that they feel just as responsible for protecting the values of our country as law enforcement does.
Your position with the Los Angeles Police Department is now currently the chief of the counterterrorism, so you have a lot of work on you. But aside from that, I know that you've had many numerous positions. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was a commander in South Bureau, where I worked with Chief Paysinger for a while, and that was 700,000 people, many police officers working on community problems. I was captain in Hollywood for almost 6 years. I worked gangs, internal affairs, and so I've had a background that's been I have no regrets. It's been a fruitful, very meaningful, fulfilling career.
And in those 34 years, you've seen a lot of things change. And I'm sure in your experience, in your, let's say, in your opinion, how do you feel the world has changed? Is it getting better with the new technology, with all these advancements? How do you see 34 years?
Well, I think that I think the world is kind of reforming right now. I think we see a lot of reformation occurring. We've gone through different periods in our history, and I think we're at the point here where we have the potential to really show, display, and further build a model where pluralism and diversity is a strength. And I think when you get into some of these monolithic societies where you have a lot of hate, that's something that we have issues here, no doubt, but we've come a long way. I think the future's bright. I think there's a lot of great opportunity. And to young people that are coming up in the world who might feel a little negative about the world, I would say this is probably some of the most exciting times you can be in, because information is expanding more every day. There's technologies expanding more every day. I think the issue of ethics and values has to keep up with the speed of technology, and so I'm very optimistic about the future. I won't be cynical, and I won't be pessimistic about it.
As far as ISIS, do you believe that there is any reason that they would target Los Angeles?
Well, they said, Al-Qaeda said that Los Angeles is a target. I think any major city that has iconic, symbolic, mass numbers of people, etc., that represent America, represent Hollywood, it's something that they despise, and they despise our value system, they despise our liberty, they despise the capitalism, and they want to take us back to a sixth century ideology, mentality where women have no rights, there's no entertainment, etc.
Right.
And it's something I think it's worth fighting with all our might for.
Now, are there any current ISIS representatives here?
There are definitely ISIS supporters. I'm sure there are ISIS associates in the United States. We have an issue with foreign fighters all over the United States. I think California is leading the number. So we're concerned about that, and we're concerned about what happens when they come back.
Is it because Los Angeles has a lot of diverse, different,
You
what's
know,
the reason
that,
that
and I
California
think-
would be?
And I think the recruiting arm of ISIS through the social media and propaganda that they do is somehow appeals to the sense of valor and belonging, and some of these young people want to go on what they believe is a hero's journey, and when they get there they find it as it's actually an environment of death and corruption and slavery, and it's everything they didn't think it was.
That's very sad that young children and people are being victims of such cruelty. Is there anything that we need to know as far as going places? Are there any restrictions of going to concerts and stuff? I mean, obviously.
I would say don't be defeated. I'd say just be aware that the threat's very real and it's serious, but we all have a opportunity to participate, and if you see suspicious activity, stand up and report it, be involved. But I wouldn't do anything that we haven't been doing in the past to enjoy our life and express our freedom. I would continue to do that, because if we don't, then we buy into what they're trying to sell us.
The population of Los Angeles, which I think is the most diverse, and when I say the most diverse, it means that it is the most mature city in America, in the world.
Violent extremism has definitely impacted our lives. It has become a danger for all of us as Americans when we have to deal with groups like ISIL, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram.
Extremism is not power, it is weakness. It is not robust, it is disease.
Well, we started a few years ago by getting to know our community. I mean, that's the foundation, is getting to know who we are reaching out to. The whole idea is to build the foundation of trust that could lead to talking about future events and other partnership initiatives.
Really, in essence, everyone needs to come together, as we have in the past in dealing with other issues, to confront this threat.
The three areas of our focus have been prevention, intervention, and interdiction. The intervention is an area where we need work. This is an area, if you look at the gang model of Los Angeles, the war on gangs didn't work. It didn't work arresting our way. We couldn't arrest our way out of the problem. You cannot declare a war on this type of a phenomena. And so it wasn't until we realized that intervention efforts, where you talked about youth development, employment opportunities, character development, diversion programs. This is an area that is just right for this phenomena that we're experiencing today. To find ways to build off-ramps for people who may have it in their mind that this is what they want to do, but they haven't yet mobilized to violence.
Off-ramps is essentially an alternate path for the individuals to go down. It's the community, it's the mental health resources. It's the mentors in the community and getting them engaged with some of, in particular, oftentimes the youth, to assure that they have someone to talk to and they have someone that can try and steer them away from going down that wrong path.
In the Los Angeles County mental health system, we've found that if we're really interested in creating strong recovery, we need to do more than provide treatment. We need to find community support for all aspects of a person's life.
What we're trying to renew and what we're trying to restore is our, beautiful behavior and ethics and principles that benefit the community.
So the more engaged we are and the more involved we are with different activities and different groups besides just law enforcement, like interfaith and community awareness and activism, this channels a lot of comprehension and open doors between all of these teams so that there's better efforts made to combat these problems.
I think that interfaith relations are important because we often hear only about the extremes of each community, right? Whether it's Jewish or Muslim or Christian communities. And by virtue of shifting the focus back on those who are willing to build relationships with each other and work through the difficult moments of conflict, we create a space for that majority in the middle, for those moderates, to be louder and to overpower those voices on the extreme.
The role of every faith leader is to guide their flock away from violence and into peace, and specifically what their faith teaches about peace and how to deal with situations when two people do not agree.
we felt that there must be some synergy between the law enforcement and the Muslim community.
When the LAPD implemented the suspicious activity reporting process, there was huge public outcry.
And it was only through engagement with community groups and civil rights organizations, along with law enforcement, that we were able to turn a corner.
When Chief Downing presented the SAR program to us, we met with him along with other civil rights groups and said we need 5 changes in the program. He took those requests, went to LAPD, came back, and we were able to reform SARS so that not only is it adhering to the civil liberties standards of our country, but it became more effective.
As long as we're talking to each other, things will happen. We can change the narratives.
The role of the U.S. Attorney's Office in the community engagement process is really one of support for our local partners, being the LAPD, the LA County Sheriffs, and the LA Human Rights Commission, who for years have been on the ground establishing relationships with the community based on trust and communication.
When we talk to each other, when we act together, we break down the barriers that separate us. We find common purpose, common campaigns, and in the end, we find our common humanity.
Chief Downing, the first video that we just watched, could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, that's one of our approaches to preventing terrorist acts, and that's the idea of dealing with motivation, where we do a lot of outreach and engagement to Muslim communities, interfaith communities, and that film is kind of a representative of the kind of work we do. It shows, children in police cars. It shows us teaching problem-solving skills. It gives an illustration of building trust in communities with law enforcement. So I think it's very good. We took that to Washington, D.C. We took it to the White House and showed it during our White House session. It was pretty well received.
Over the last 7 days, intelligence sources began to detect an increase in chatter. This was noted by the Joint Regional Intelligence Center, and intensified efforts began by the FBI, Sheriff's Counterterrorism Bureau, and LAPD Counterterrorism and Special Operations Bureau. The foot traffic is just like it would be on a normal day, with the exception of 2 individuals who are moving north on Figueroa Street. They are the antithesis of memorable, except to Zoom, a vapor-trailing dog whose keen sense of smell has put him on to what they're doing, and his handler is with him.
We have a positive on the suspects. SWAT is a go. Repeat, SWAT is a go.
Two suspects are down. The call for the tactical intervention team is already out for additional backup. At least one dead suspect is wearing a vest containing high explosives. We have snipers. Snipers armed with M16A2s are engaging the 4 officers in the pair of patrol cars. Officers are returning fire, using their patrol car for cover, but armed with 40 caliber Glocks and 1 semi-automatic rifle, they're outgunned and they're pinned down. Help and backup are still rolling, with other specialized units pre-deployed, responding for patrols of potential soft targets all around the Los Angeles area are approaching. A support team on an A-Star 350 is in. SWAT snipers armed with FN scars, the snipers trained to a standard of an 85% hit rate, have taken out those suspects. As you've seen, both suspects have been neutralized in the first pass with controlled bursts of automatic weapons fire. Given the danger present from the explosive vests and possible IEDs, the A-Star is pulled away to a safe distance and altitude to provide damage or prevent it from shrapnel happening, and to provide reconnaissance and to scout for additional targets in the area of the incident. This area is still hot, still unsafe. 2 suspects are down, but there could be additional bombing suspects or snipers within a 100 to 200 yard radius. To overcome the high ground advantage, the option for control and clearance of this area cannot be done from the ground. It can't be done going up. It has to be done to negate the high ground advantage the terrorists have taken. That falls to an airborne assault team.
be advised, we have 2 tangos down on the bridge, 2 tangos down.
You've just witnessed an LA Sheriff's Aero Bureau Super Puma helicopter deploy an 8-man LAPD SWAT fast roping team to the top of the overpass. 2 men from the counter-assault team have secured the bridge and the dead suspects, checking them for explosives, while other members of the team are clearing the plaza areas to check for additional suspects. And the incident continues. Stage 3 of what is now a major terrorist incident is underway. 2 suspects with M16s open fire on officers in the 2 patrol cars. One officer is down and wounded. The others are taking cover as the car and area comes under withering automatic weapons fire. Traffic all of a sudden is in the area. These are LA drivers, of course. They were unaware of what's going on, and all of a sudden they are part of the problem and part of the instance. The Bear now moves in, a 14-ton armored vehicle rolling into position. It'll be deploying 8 SWAT team members who begin firing and taking cover within seconds after the doors open.
Yeah, let's go right, let's go right.
A diversion. The deployment is called MACTAC, Multiple Assault Counter-Terror Action Capability. It's shoot, move, take cover in advance, never giving the suspects an opportunity to put their heads up without a running risk of getting killed. Both suspects are dead, but there's another problem. You just heard the call sign, avalanche, yelled out by the team members. It's a warning. Live explosives or IEDs are in the area. They are deploying back to the Bear, which will withstand fragmentation from any bombs that go off. Officers are wounded at 4th and Figueroa. Emergency medical evacuation is needed now. Paramedics in what is called a medcat, a medevac version of the Bear, moved in with armed officers to cover the paramedics. They're going to be looking for that wounded officer, and they're going to be providing security all the way around as the paramedics move and get that person out of here. The paramedics taking that wounded officer inside. They're ready to provide emergency medical treatment within seconds.
Officers is clear. They're moving up, mounting on the medcat, which will then leave. In addition to the medcat, the 2 other cars will move out of the area, a 3-vehicle convoy. One of the cars in point position, followed by the medcat. Then we have a 3rd car which will follow and take up a rear cover. Time to the hospital, 5 minutes.
Andros, a 5th-generation robotic EOD and surveillance unit, costs about $350,000. Using its tracks, it can climb stairs, scale low walls, and uses robotic arm to grab, remove, or examine any object, and that color camera provides high definition with anything they want to see.
Bomb squad to CP, confirm with explosives on the vest.
The TCV is also in position, ready to assist Andros when it takes off that explosive vest.
Suspect killed in action. The vest appears to be manual in nature. Not sure of any other remote detonators or booby traps. We're going to bring it up to the TCV.
Andros is doing what it is doing right now. Reconnaissance, and now it is going to try to remove that explosive vest from this particular terrorist. The robotic arm has the ability to pull at least 80 pounds or more of weight, capable of moving anything or taking something right off of a terrorist. You can look at the detail that is being provided by Andros of the body itself. Picking it up and moving it. In prior instances where you didn't have a robot, you'd have to send a bomb technician down to do that. You can replace a robot. You cannot replace a bomb technician. Therefore, robotics are the safe way to do this as best as possible. Andros has now got that vest, is doing some additional surveillance, looking around and looking about, relaying information to the bomb technicians. Your bomb vest in hand, and cameras are also showing what is there. Take a good look. We have a much bigger problem beyond the 2 dead terrorist suspects on the ground, or even that explosive vest.
Bomb squad to CP, we got visual confirmation of a 55-gallon drum in the back of the vehicle. Looks like some type of a remote detonation system was attached. We recommend bringing in Batcat. We don't recommend taking it apart by hand. We're going to bring in a Batcat and handle this.
The bomb squad total containment vehicle is now in the area. Andros is moving toward it now. When you have a deal with something that's so big, there's only one thing you do. You bring the biggest gun you can to the fight. In this case, Batcat, Bomb Assessment Tactical Counter-Assault Tool. Andros now moving that vest up to the TCV. This 40,000-pound vehicle provides a flexible response to a car bomb. It's a one-of-a-kind robot. It took the LAPD 18 months to design it from the ground up. Depending on what the bomb techs want to do, they can do a number of things. They can deliver a countermeasure to the bomb with a drill that will go right through the roof of it. The camera showing where the charge should be placed. If it would work better to expose the devices completely, it has a large claw that can rip the car open from the top or tear the doors off on the side. And if neither of those options is available or viable, there's always a simple one. Pick up and go. The forks are underneath that vehicle. As you can see, Batcat is strong enough to pick up the entire car. And with the operator working the controls from a mile away, it can move and take that entire car bomb to a safe location. Just for the record, new technology is about to be brought online that would allow the Batcat to pick up a suicide bomber, vest and all, and place them inside the TCV. The bomb squad total containment vehicle is capable of safely transporting explosives or even allowing for detonation or render safe procedures on site. The video that we just watched, could you tell us a little bit about this video?
Yeah, that's should our intelligence fail, and should we not be able to prevent an attack. This shows our tactical response capability. Everything from our SWAT operations to our MACTAC, direct action, bomb squad, the use of very sophisticated equipment to keep our officers safe, and it also shows our aerial platform shooting capability. So if something should happen, we have tremendous capability to knock down the threat in short order.
Thank you so much for taking your time, especially at this time, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you for watching Lights on LA, and have a very nice evening and good night.